Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in the Vanguard. You guys have been asking for this a lot. So let's go through my new build for the Vanguard that I think has been more consistent for me, and we'll get this party started. So first things first, let's get into the commander. We have Charles Madden instead of Andrew Cunningham. So just as a heads up, I have changed my build. We are now going with Charles Madden. We're going full tank build, and we'll get into that in a minute. We have Andrew Cunningham as an inspiration for that extra precision, and we have Takeo Takagi for his ability to add to the heal. Now, British battleships get a good heal. Some of them get an amazing heal, so you definitely want to take advantage of that if you can. Now, we only have him as a rank 11, so keep that in mind. I would like to get him to rank 16 because I think that is the only way that I will put up with these British battleships. But we got a little bit of a changer here. We've got Brawler, then instead of the secondaries perk, we've got Crisscross. You do not want to get into too many games where you're getting in secondary range with the Vanguard. So stick to utilizing your faster turret traverse. It's got one of the faster turrets in the game as far as battleships go. Then we're going to have Firefighter here. You could swap this for this if you want, but personally, generally, I switch as soon as I reload, so it's not that big a deal. I think about it ahead of time. Now, so I'll take the extra damage control and less chance of catching on fire. Master Mechanic gives you an extra repair party charge. It decreases the reload time and increases the amount of HP recovered. So this is definitely a perk you want to get. And once you get them to level 16, you get that second repair party charge, which means you can have up to 5 in this thing, which is pretty nasty. Definitely seems to be working for me better than the regular build, but we'll get into that as well. So, as always, nothing's changed on this end. We still have the Aiming Systems Mod 1. We still have Propulsion Mod on here. It's definitely a thing you will want for this particular ship. Then we want Target Acquisition Mod. It's the only thing you can get for a Tier 7 battleship in that slot. And then Main Battery Mod 3, which gives you that extra reload time. But it makes your traverse speed slower. But, like I said, this thing has a pretty good reload or traverse speed, and we're buffing it, so we're kind of taking that hit away. It's not that big a deal. So basically, you just get an extra 12% on your reload time. Now, if we go to the fact that yes... Oh, holy crap! I've been playing this thing without a third module? Maybe that's why this thing feels like an absolute turd. That makes a lot of sense now. Oh my god! I've been playing it like a freaking potato. Alright, so we have 71,700 hit points, which is right there with the Iowa. The only difference is this we don't have Sims on here to buff that. So Sims would come in handy for that. It's got the same torpedo reduction as the Iowa. It's got decent armor, but don't get caught broadside too often. Artillery, it's got 15-inch guns, 381 millimeters. You've got 8 of them. They're in a 2-gun per turret, and there are 4 turrets. They shoot out to 15.8 kilometers, which is the only real downside of this build. They reload in under 20 seconds, which is preferable. That is the biggest helper for this particular ship. The 180-degree turn time is actually faster than some cruisers now. It's at 28.5 seconds. So, yeah, not bad, especially for 15-inch guns. Maximum HE shell damage is 5,800 with a 42% chance to set on fire. The AP shell damage is 12,500. Now, you're going to be switching back and forth on this more than any other battleship in the game. You'll want to try to set a fire first and then use your AP to whittle away their health. That's kind of like the odds of where I'm going. And this is why I say don't focus on the secondaries, because you only have 16 of them, and you imagine 4 on each side. So you'll have literally 8 guns per side, and they're 134 millimeters, and they fire HE. So you don't really want to focus on your secondaries in this particular ship. Overview. Superior HE penetration, which is why you can get some really nasty HE hits with this. Not quite as good as the Nelson, but it does have a pretty good HE. Now, the greater heal, that's what we already talked about. It's not an amazing heal, but it definitely allows you to heal more than most other ships. compromising. The higher caliber AP shells may overpin the armor, but may still arm depending on shell velocity. So, in other words, your armor's not the greatest. Don't trust it. You may get overpinned, but more often than not, you're going to get citadeled, especially if you're broadside on at any sort of range. The closer you are, the less likely you are to be citadeled because it has been moved under the water surface. So that's why you tend to get more citadels against you when you're caught at range broadside. The last battleship of the British Royal Navy, due to the specific conditions of her construction phase, she combined high speed, powerful AA, and up-to-date equipment while still preserving obsolete main battery guns. She entered service in 1946 and there was a single ship built. So without further ado, wait for it. Oh, God. Yeah, there we go. Let's get this party started. We're going to go ahead and take a look at her real quick. I do like this camo in there. Oh my God, the frame rate is garbage right now. Wargaming, what have you done? The frame rate should not be this bad in the port. I get it, I'm on 4K, but I'm also on a Xbox One X. Good Lord. That seems better. Yeah, I think it was just because we were kind of going over top of those fireworks that are launching off the barges. So, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we are on Northern Waters, and we are in the Vanguard. Now, like I said, we didn't have the final engine upgrade because I didn't pay attention. I've been playing this thing for a long time, and I was like, God, I just hate this ship. It's such a turd. And here I was playing it without having it fully upgraded. I didn't have the engine, which is the main thing that this thing is good at, is supposed to be speed. So, yeah, blame that on me. But I still have some qualms about this. But I think the tank build is the way to go on this particular ship. I seem to get better RNG in this match with the tank build than I was getting in the previous couple matches using my dispersion build. Now this is something I might be checking with such ships as my Iowa in the near future. Because I've been struggling with my Iowa a little, not so much like struggling, I say struggling. Struggling for me in an Iowa is like getting less than 150,000 damage. Because I do pretty well in the Iowa. But, I mean, lately it just seems like it's been getting a lot of dispersion compared to what it used to. And so I'm not sure if Wargaming did something a little sneaky in the last update, or maybe they just have a bug right now that's killing the dispersion builds. If so, then I'm going to try to uncover that. So look for that in the near future. I'm going to try to pull out my Iowa in a tank build. I hate doing it because the whole point of the Iowa is its accuracy. So we're gonna pull out the tank build, see what we can get away with, and see if we can get better RNG, and we'll try. We'll try. You never know until you try, folks. Sometimes you just got to try. Now, I'm done stalling. The match is about to begin here. We're heading over to protect C. Now, I was detected early, which means there's a destroyer here. There are 4 destroyers in this match. Big surprise, right? So, and half of them are Yodachis at least. So you gotta love that. There are 8 destroyers and at least half of them are Yodachis. Because balance. But Spartan, there's a similar amount of ships on both teams. I get it. Yep. Uh-huh. Anyway, then explain to me why the Yodachis on my team always end up being the guys that literally can do nothing, and the Yodachis on the enemy teams are the ones that just go around nuke everybody. But anyway, York actually showcased the one weakness that we have in our tank build, and that is our lack of range. However, he has closed to within our firing range because he doesn't know that I couldn't shoot him. I don't know how many people are running the tank builds on the Vanguard. If you are, let me know. Maybe I'm not the only one. But it does seem to be working better for me, as well as trying to alternate shells, especially against battleships. Because your armor piercing is going to be less effective against battleships unless they're broadside on. And so being able to set them on fire, let them burn their damage control in the first fire, because they almost always do. And this thing and the King George and the Nelson are world-renowned for... Oh, go, that was a good one. That was a good one. Now, we're not citadeling him, which is impressive considering he's a cruiser and these are short-fuse armor-piercing shells. Yeah, that's a thing. But, yeah. And I know some people will be like, Spartan, they don't get the... Yes, they do. They literally do. The shells on this thing act exactly the way they do in the other ships that I've played in this line. There's no difference, other than the Queen Elizabeth just nuking everything because everything had such little armor. He takes a torpedo there, which is causing flooding, and then we launch our salvo, and this should be death. And it is. And of course, there's our citadel. It's just the way it goes, man. I can hit that guy broadside on 100 times, won't citadel him, but the moment he gets down to the low health, suddenly his citadel becomes available. I don't know what it is. But we see the Asasio, and right now we're going to go ahead, switch to HE, and burn our damage, or our reload booster. Hey, this thing has a reload booster now. We forgot to talk about it. But yeah, it's got a single reload booster. The Asasio turns. He's already been hit hard. He's smoking up, so he's likely already burned his damage con, and we set a fire, and that is his death waiting to happen. Now we have two Bismarcks out there. One of them is in range, and the other one is not. So we fire at the one closest to us for obvious reasons. We get the kill on the Asasio with the fire, which is just hilarious. We set a fire on the Bismarck with the first shot, and then I had already switched to AP here because he's broadside on, so I was hoping for a big hit, and I then noticed that he's put out the fire. So now I'm going to switch back to HE because we want to set another fire, and we took way too much damage that time. Both of their Bismarcks are now in range to shoot me, which is not preferable, and I'm over-angled trying to get all the guns to bear, which is another weakness that this ship has. It's got terrible rear firing angles. So you have to go basically full broadside if you want to try to get the rear guns involved. Now, when it's bow on, this thing is pretty strong. But, unfortunately, like I said, the rear firing angles are so bad that you almost have to go broadside on to get them involved. And when you're nose in, much like the Gneisenauer, you only have 4 guns over the front of your ship. And that's not preferable, because that generally means that you're being outgunned by everybody that's shooting at you, and we get 2 fires on that salvo, and then you'll see the immediate switch to armor piercing. Now we know the guy already used his damage con, so those 2 fires are going to burn for quite a while. Now he did have quite a bit of time in between his damage con being used and that fires, but it's still going to burn for a while. And we're not going to let him just get away with it. We're going to keep pounding away using our AP. Now remember, Bismarcks and other German and United States battleships are known to have a lot of health allocated to their superstructure. They have giant superstructures and a lot of health allocated to them, meaning they don't get damage soaked as easily, meaning you can get a lot of damage off of the superstructure, which is why the Jean Bart punishes battleships so heavily, while the Jean Bart is able to bow tank and basically get nothing. Because the Jean Bart doesn't have the same problem as other battleships, and it's small caliber AP, and I say small caliber, it's 15-inch guns. Their smaller caliber AP detonates inside the superstructure, allowing for ginormous amounts of damage. And that's also what the Vanguard can do. Because they're 15-inch guns and they have the shorter fuse, they can absolutely wreck other battleships' superstructure and get a lot of damage that way. And then if you couple that with the fact that you are going to be able to set fires, and we've got the reload down to pretty darn good. Anytime you get a battleship's guns down to below 20 seconds, you're doing pretty good. And if that sounds familiar, you're right. It is the same that the Jean Bart can get down to. The reload on these things can be absolutely amazing. Now the kid gets spotted over here, so we're going to switch over to him real quick. And notice what the Iowa out in the distance is doing. We already checked on him. He's outside his firing range from us, and he's outside our firing range, obviously. If he can't hit us, we can't hit him, that's for sure. And we take a shot at the kid, and unfortunately he does manage to take only a single hit here. But you'll notice that the Iowa that's straight out ahead, I just looked at him to see what he was. He's an Iowa, and he's only 19.5 kilometers away. Now, unless he has taken the last perk as damage control, that means he's in range to shoot me. And as soon as he goes below 19 kilometers, he's guaranteed in range to shoot me, unless he has a tank build Iowa, in which case he would be at like 16 kilometers rather than the 19. But we no longer are paying attention to the Iowa, and that's going to cost us in this match. Not only do we take a nasty hit from the Bismarck as we return one of our own, as you can see, you can get quite a bit of damage with the HE in this ship. But like I said, this thing is most effective when you're able to Angle as best you can. I'm doing just an absolute abysmal job at angling. We're not trying to angle. We're trying to keep all the guns at bear, and we get the Bismarck on fire twice. Now, he takes another good hit on us, and we're going to try finally to go ahead and turn away. Now, this is the one thing that this thing sucks at. And we didn't look at the maneuverability of this ship in the build, but it's not good. It's Iowa at least. It's not good. This thing does not like to turn. Now, part of that could just be, and we get a pretty good salvo of AP right there, but part of it could just be that I have my propulsion mod on, and propulsion mod screws with your steering because it kind of makes your ship drift instead of doing what you want it to do. We get another fire on them with our secondaries, and we're trying to stern tank here. We want to kind of pull away, but unfortunately, the fire's going to get us long before our heel comes into play, and that is kind of what got us. We were on fire once, and it burned us down before our heel was able to be utilized. Had we been able to heal there, we would have probably survived this match, killed the Bismarck, and moved on. Now, here's where I was kind of getting a little frustrated. We had a Helena here the whole time. Like, the whole time. Why wasn't he shooting this Bismarck? He is now, but he wasn't during that entire engagement. All of the fire damage that we did to the Bismarck, all of the AP damage that we did, if this guy had been shooting him with these 15 guns, and you'll notice he's angled, which has given the Bismarck a chance to citadel him, but he's not angled well enough to shoot the front guns. So I'm not sure why he's just sitting here angled like this. If you're not going to be able to get the front guns involved, why are you angled like this? This is literally death. This means you're almost guaranteeing that that Bismarck is going to arm his shells on his way through your ship. Now, he is burning the Bismarck down. But you'll see he gets caught right about... Wait for it. Oh, nope, they missed. They missed. He Bismarcked it. He completely painted a circle, but somebody absolutely touched him. Maybe it was the Bismarck, I didn't see it, but somebody just touched him hard. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. When you're in these light cruisers especially, the heavy cruisers, you got to worry about everything when it comes to them, unless they're below 16 inch. If you can battle tank 16 inches, you're fine. But otherwise, you got to be real careful who you go broadside to. Now, in these, you can go broadside because most of the time it's going to overpin you. But if you angle like he was, you're just begging for a citadel. Now, we finished the game with over 120,000 damage, which is very good for me and this ship. Me and the ship don't get along. I kind of relate it right there with the Bismarck as far as usefulness in the game. It's just not, it's a support role, and I hate that. Because that means you have to rely on your team a lot. You don't get a plane. You don't get the ability to do devastating amounts of damage. There's so much that you don't get with it that it really, really requires decent teammates to showcase just its true potential. So, with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and if you did, punch the like button for me, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.